Hey guys, in this video, we're going to talk about what happens if you overstay your visa here in the United States. Before you overstay your visa, watch this video. If you've already overstayed your visa and now you're very concerned about what your options are, don't worry. I'm going to touch on a few options at the end of this video. Now, let's talk about the big issue that most visa overstays encounter. And guys, it has to do with finances. Finding a job. It's very, very difficult to find a job in the United States if you cannot prove that you're either a U.S. citizen, a green card holder, or you have a work permit. This is the number one issue that visa overstays typically encounter, and they encounter it immediately. The second big issue that they encounter is affordable housing. It's super expensive to live in big cities like New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, Miami, and Washington, D.C. Oftentimes they stay with a relative or a friend just to get by, because for some people they can't even get on a lease because they don't have the proper documentation to prove that they're here in the United States lawfully. And of course, it's even worse if they don't have a job to be able to pay the rent. If they leave the United States, they're going to be barred or banned from returning for a certain period of time. For some people, they're banned for 3 years. For others, they're banned for 10 years. It just depends on how long they overstayed their visa in the United States. The next issue, which is related to the second one, is the fact that if they do leave the United States, it will be harder to get an approval of their visa to come back to the United States. Whether they're trying to get a visitor visa or maybe a work visa to come back to the United States, the U.S. Embassy will look at their immigration record and certainly determine that because of their visa overstay, they cannot be approved for the visa. Now, bonus tip, just a small bonus tip here. If you are in this situation and the embassy refused you of your visa because you've overstayed in the United States, well, there is a way that you can come back in early during the period of your ban. You will need to bring a certain waiver to your U.S. Embassy interview. It's called a non-immigrant visa waiver, and that waiver addresses the problem on your record of overstaying in the United States. And perhaps if you have other problems on your immigration record, it should address those issues as well, so that you can be approved for the visa to return to the United States temporarily. Now let's talk about some options that you'll have if you've overstayed your visa. For many people, I will say they elect to stay under the radar here in the United States. What exactly does that look like? Well, it looks like them finding a way to survive. For some people, they decide, I'm just going to find a job that doesn't ask me for a work permit or whether I'm a U.S. citizen or a green card holder. I'm just going to work under the table. And that's the decision that some people make. Other people make a decision to start a business. And in fact, for some of them, they're actually really successful with their business. Although they're under the radar, so to speak, they have a business without a green card. And for some people, that seems to work out fine for them. However, in the back of their mind, they're thinking, oh my God, I could lose all of this at any point now because I don't have my papers in the United States. So there's that lack of peace that many people do feel who are out of status in the United States. And we know that there are 11 to 15 million people here in the United States currently without status. But for some visa overstays, they're eligible to apply for a green card, and they actually do get their green card right here in the United States through a process known as adjustment of status. Adjustment of status allows certain people to be able to apply for a green card while they're physically here in the United States and get the green card approval. For instance, if you're a visa overstay, you can do adjustment of status if you're the spouse of a U.S. citizen, or if you have an adult U.S. citizen son or daughter who's 21 years old or older who could file for you. In such a case, you're considered an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen. You could also get your green card here if you go through a humanitarian process like asylum or VAWA, which is a case that can be filed with the government if you've been a victim of domestic violence. Or you could actually get a green card. It's a lengthy process, but for some people, some visa overstays, this is the only way that they could get a green card, and it's through a U visa crime victims pathway, or a T visa for victims of trafficking, including those of you who have severe forms of labor-related trafficking and problems due to employment issues here in the United States. Those are just some of the ways, guys, that a visa overstay can get a green card here. Now, for other visa overstays, if they say, well, I have a parent who's a U.S. citizen who could file for me, well, that's great. And your parent should file for you sooner rather than later, because it's a lengthy process. You'll need a waiver at the end of the process, and then you'll have to go back to your country for a visa interview. Or if you have a U.S. citizen sibling who could file for you, that's good too. However, again, the process is very lengthy, and then you'll also need to go back to your country for an interview if you're eligible for the waiver. Now, if you have an employer who is interested in filing for you, yet you've overstayed your visa, it gets a little tricky. It can work, but it could only work if you're eligible for a waiver that would allow you to go back to your country to interview at the U.S. Embassy. And if you're eligible for this waiver, then it can work out better for you because it's a faster process through an employer, but you must have a U.S. citizen or a green card holder parent, or a U.S. citizen or a green card holder spouse who will suffer extreme hardship if you have to leave the United States. And this is where it gets really challenging for a visa overstay, because they do not have that relative needed for the waiver. Guys, this is not an easy road to walk to overstay in the United States. You're doing a great job by watching this video and educating yourself. But if you'd like to go deeper, certainly reach out to us at McBean Law. We'd be happy to consult with you to let you know what your options are, if any. Also, I have a terrific playlist right here on YouTube that covers all these issues related to visa overstay. So go ahead and watch some of those videos. Before you go today, guys, 2 favors. Subscribe to our newsletter where you'll be able to get more free tips from us, including Q&As, immigration news, good news stories, and some other great topics from us at McBean Law. Subscribe today at mcbeanlaw.com/subscribe. And then secondly, certainly before you leave today, subscribe to this channel and hit that notification bell so that you'll be the first to get notice of these videos each week. Let me know your thoughts below, comment, and tell me what's on your mind, and I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.